Have you ever tried soloing over All the Things You Are and felt completely lost halfway through the form? Don't worry, you're not alone. Today we're going to break down this tune so you can finally make sense of those key changes and start creating solos that actually tell a story. Hey everyone, Jeff here from Next Level Sax. I'm super excited for this. You can grab a free PDF of the complete 2-course Etude I'll be breaking down in this video. It's linked in the description below. Follow along as we go and you'll see exactly how each idea connects to the harmony. Before we jump in, I want to tell you about a few things that can help you take your playing to the next level. If you're looking to unlock modern jazz sounds with just 5 notes, check out my Modern Pentatonics Crash Course. It comes with a 95-page workbook and 5 companion video lessons that show you exactly how to use the pentatonics to create fresh, contemporary lines across jazz standards. For a deeper dive, there's my flagship program, the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint, mastering tone, articulation, and time feel. This course includes 25 HD video lessons, a 179-page workbook, and a 200 jazz phrases bonus book packed with vocabulary to build your sound and feel from the ground up. And if you want to be a part of something bigger, come join the Next Level Sax community. It's a supportive worldwide group of saxophonists where you'll get weekly PDFs, monthly etudes, live stream masterclasses, and even personalized feedback on your playing. It's a great place to connect, learn, and stay inspired alongside players who share your passion. All right, now that you know where to find those resources, let's dig into one of the most beautiful and harmonically rich tunes in jazz, All the Things You Are. Today we're going to do a deep dive into All the Things You Are and specifically how to solo over it in a way that feels musical, cohesive, and grounded in the harmony. This tune is one of my favorites because it takes you through so many different key centers while still sounding seamless. It's harmonically rich, melodically singable, and a perfect vehicle for exploring motivic development and voice leading. To help you connect the dots, I've written out a complete 2-course etude over the form. We'll go through the first chorus phrase by phrase to see how each idea connects melodically and harmonically, and how these phrases connect to tell a coherent story. By the end, you'll have a framework for building solos that move with intention rather than just chasing chord symbols and scales. Alright, I've broken the etude into 4 main examples, each representing a section of the tune. Within each example, I've divided the material into smaller 4-bar phrases labeled 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and so on. This way we can zoom in on one idea at a time, such as melodic devices, rhythmic motifs, harmonic colors, and then step back to see how each phrase fits into a larger architecture of the solo. It also helps you practice in smaller chunks because each phrase is self-contained but still connects logically to the next one. Before we dig into this etude, let's get a clear sense of the harmonic roadmap of the tune. All the Things You Are is one of the most harmonically interesting standards in the jazz repertoire. It travels through multiple key centers, often using short 2/5 progressions and half-step pivots to move smoothly between tonalities. It's also a 36-bar form with 3 distinct but related A sections. For today's analysis, I'll talk in B-flat instrument terms, so we're reading in the key of B-flat major, which for concert instruments is A-flat major. All of these concepts apply no matter what instrument or key. Now right away, you'll notice that the tune doesn't start on the 1 chord. Instead, it begins on G minor 7, which is the 6th chord of the key of B-flat major. That's already unusual. Starting on the 6th chord creates motion right away. It feels like we've entered mid-sentence instead of on the downbeat of the story. Let's quickly lay out the diatonic chords in B-flat major. 1, of course, is our B-flat major. 2 is our C minor 7. 3 is our D minor 7. 4 is our E-flat major, 5 is our F7, 6 is our G minor 7, and our 7 chord is A half diminished. Now keep in mind, remember, in a major tonality, our diatonic 7 chords are the 1 is always major, the 2 is always minor, the 3 is always minor, the 4 is major, the 5 is dominant, the 6 is minor, and the 7 is half diminished. So G minor 7 is our 6th chord, and when we move from C minor to F7 to B-flat major, we've got a nice clean 2-5-1 progression in B-flat major. Next, the harmony shifts up a perfect 4th to E-flat major, our 4 chord in the key. So far, all of this is inside of B-flat major, but the very next chord moves outside the key. We go to E minor 7 to A7 to D major 7, and this is our first modulation. D major 7 is non-diatonic to B-flat major. It's part of a new key area, so the tune has modulated, and the composer uses a short 2/5 sequence to pivot in each new tonality. We treat the D major 7 as a temporary 1 chord to the next line, D minor, G minor, C7, F major. Feels like the same idea we saw before, but transposed up a 5th. That's one of the most fascinating things about this tune. The first 8 bars and the second 8 bars share the exact same harmonic structure, just moved up a perfect 5th. So we could call these sections A and A prime. At the bridge or B section, the tune modulates again, this time to A major, and then slides down a half step to a minor 2-5-1 in F sharp major, G sharp minor 7 flat 5 to C sharp 7 to F sharp major 7. That's quite a distance from our home key, but the tune brings us back using tonicization. To tonicize simply means to temporarily make a key sound like home, and the easiest way to do that is preceding it with its 5 chord. So at the end of the bridge, we see D7, which functions as 5 of G minor, and that pulls us right back into where we started. The final A section is really a 12-bar section that begins by mirroring the beginning, but adds a chromatic bass descent. E flat minor major to D minor to C sharp diminished 7, which sets up the final 2-5-1 in B flat major, C minor 7, F7 to B flat major, and then closes with a minor 2-5 that leads us back to the top of the form. So overall, this tune moves through 5 distinct key centers using 2-5-1 progressions, half-step pivots, and secondary dominants to create a sense of forward motion. It's one of the best tunes you can study for learning how to voice lead smoothly through modulations. Let's start with the opening 4 measures of the Etude. The main concept here is call and response, and it's all built around upbeat phrasing. So both halves of the phrase begin on the and of one, which gives the line a lifted, conversational kind of quality. The first 2 measures form the call, a short, clear statement that begins on the upbeat and pauses just before resolving. The next 2 measures form the response. They start the same way, but this time the line continues forward and resolves differently. What I love about this is the contour contrast. The call descends and the respond ascends. That combination of similarity and contrast creates a sense of conversation within the line, a musical question and answer. This is such an important concept that has universal application. Let's hear what it sounds like. Now let's move into measures 5 through 8. On the 4 chord, E flat major in measure 5, I'm targeting chord tones right away. Specifically, I land on the 5th of the chord, B flat, on the downbeat of 1. This instantly grounds the line in the harmony. Then I move down E flat major scale and bring it to a digital pattern 1, 2, 3, 5, which outlines the chord quickly and clearly. You'll notice I use these digital patterns several times in the chorus. It's a fast and reliable way to spell out the harmony without relying on big leaps or arpeggios. Digital patterns simply refer to the fact that these patterns are easily identifiable by scale degrees like 1, 2, 3, 5. In measure 6, we get a quick 2-5-1 into D major. Over A7, I feature that flat 9 and combine half-step motions with some larger leaps. Those wider intervals add a nice contrast to the otherwise stepwise movement and help the line breathe. When we resolve the D major in measure 7 and 8, I keep the structure solid by landing on the 9 of beat 1 and then finishing on the major 7. It's a small but powerful detail. The 9 gives us a bit of color and the major 7 brings us closure. Let's hear what it sounds like. Notice that I'm using that upbeat articulation throughout all of these examples. I'm simply tonguing the upbeats with a light legato tongue and using breath accents to bring out those upbeats, especially on a medium tempo tune like this. I'm not using my fingers to swing. That's going to sound less mature and less experienced. All right, let's move on to phrase number 2, and more specifically phrase 2A, measures 9 through 12. In measure 9, I start with a short rhythmic motive, which is 2/8 notes and thirds, and that little idea becomes the motive that ties the whole section together. Because we're starting on the 6th chord, D minor relative to F major here, I'm thinking about function rather than scale formula. Remember, not every minor 7 chord needs to sound Dorian. If it's functioning as a 6th chord, you might not want that raised 6th. So in this case, I'm using notes that fit either Aeolian, the 6th mode, or Dorian because there is no 6th scale degree present here, which is the defining factor between those 2 minor modes. I make sure to land on the 3rd of G minor 7 on the downbeat of measure 10 so the harmony speaks clearly. Now in measure 11, we hit the dominant chord C7, and here I use the altered scale. That's the 7th mode of melodic minor. A simple trick to find it, go up a half step from the root of your dominant chord and play that melodic minor scale. So over C7, play D flat melodic melodic minor. That gives you all the good altered tensions, flat 9, sharp 11, or flat 5 and flat 13. Remember that to play a melodic minor scale, you simply lower the third scale degree of a major scale. That gives you a melodic minor scale. In this phrase, you'll hear a descending line that passes through E flat, or sharp 9, and D flat, or flat 9, and then resolves by half step to A, the third of F major 7 in the next bar. That tiny half step connection B flat to A is a perfect example of voice leading. It's what makes the line feel inevitable and logical. Then in measure 12, I add the flat 13 color tone to F major 7 because I also use the natural fifth elsewhere in the line. I call it a flat 13 instead of a sharp 5. It's a subtle color, but one that keeps the line from sounding too predictable. All right, let's hear what measures 9 through 12 sound like. Listen to that descending altered scale, resolving by half step that B flat to A into the F major 7 chord. And then I combine our fifths, or our sharp 5 or flat 13, and the natural fifth in that F major 7 bar. All right, let's take a look at phrase 2B, measures 13 through 16. Now, in measure 13, you'll hear the same rhythmic idea, again, meaning the 2 eighth notes in thirds. Bringing it back here creates continuity. Then in measure 14 and 15, we have the 2-5-1 moving to A major. Over E7, I use the fifth mode of A harmonic minor. It's basically Mixolydian with a flat 2 and flat 6, so you get the flat 9 and flat 13 alongside the natural third of the dominant chord. That sound sets up a major or minor resolution beautifully and gives your line that classic bebop dominant tension. When we land on the A major 7 in measures 15 and 16, I treat those two bars as another call and response. The first bar is the call, and the second bar answers it with a slightly varied rhythm that rounds out the idea. It's subtle, but it creates phrasing that feels human, like you're having a conversation rather than reacting to a pattern. Let's hear what that sounds like. Check out that call and response again. Now we're moving into the bridge in example number 3. This is beginning at measure 17. Now, remember that at the end of the previous section, we landed in A major. The bridge continues with that same tonality with the 2-5-1 in A major, B minor 7 to E7 to A major 7. What I'm doing here melodically is continuing the call and response motive that we introduced in the previous section. It's a continuation of the same musical character. I just adjust the note choices slightly to highlight the chord tones of B minor 7 instead of the A major we had before. That kind of motivic consistency is what makes the solo feel cohesive and composed even when it's improvised. Let's hear what it sounds like. Measures 17 and 18. Real slow, and then we'll pick up the tempo. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna play the last measure going into the bridge so that we can hear that transition between the motive carrying over into the bridge. Let's check it out. Let's hear that again. In measure 18 over the E7, you'll notice another use of the flat 13, but this time I stay with the natural 9 instead of the flat 9 we used earlier. That little choice creates a slightly different color, a smoother, less tense, dominant sound. Then the line descends stepwise, but with a small leap that flips the direction of motion. That rhythmic, intervallic shift sets up the next phrase beautifully. Let's check out that measure. Now, as we move into measure 19, we land back on A major 7. I make a clear resolution by targeting the root on the downbeat and then work through a shape that alternates between whole steps and thirds. That interval combination keeps things interesting and prevents a line from sounding like a simple scale. Let's check out measures 18 and 19. Hey there, sorry to jump in real quick while you're watching, but if you've been digging this video so far, I've got something I think you'll really want to check out. Let me ask you this. You've studied the theory, you've learned the licks, you've played the heads, and even transcribed the solos, but your own playing still isn't locking in like the greats. Why not? Most players think they need more vocabulary or fancier substitutions to sound better, but in reality, the missing piece, the thing that actually makes someone sound like a jazz player, isn't more notes. It's tone, articulation, and time feel, and that's exactly what this course is built around. Welcome to the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint, mastering tone, articulation, and time feel. This is my complete step-by-step course to help you build your sound, style, and swing feel your playing has been missing. This isn't just a random collection of lessons, it's the result of decades of study, performance, and teaching, all distilled into a structured system that has helped saxophonists finally sound the way they know they're capable of. Inside, you'll get access to over 25 in-depth video lessons, no fluff, just the exact methods I use with students and pros. Full demonstration videos so you can hear and see exactly how each concept works. Downloadable PDFs for every exercise, phrase, and concept. No guesswork. A complete course workbook that includes all exercises in one place, plus a key insights section for every lesson so you can absorb the most important takeaways and track your progress clearly. You'll learn how to develop a resonant, focused tone through overtone and tuning exercises, and how to build a swing and time feel through articulation, breath accents, pivot patterns, and blues phrasing. This course is designed to meet you where you are, and it's totally self-paced. You can move freely between lessons and sections at any time, but I've also organized everything in a clear progression to help you get the most out of the material. Plus, you'll be able to download a full book of 200 jazz phrases over the most important chord progression in jazz, the 2-5-1. This is a lifetime study of vocabulary with bebop phrasing, altered dominant ideas, and even a built-in practice tracker to help you stay on course. You'll also get bonus lessons like my 5-step improvisation method, a major chord and scale workout, blues phrasing and how to keep things rhythmically interesting, a full melodic breakdown of blue bossa, bebop enclosures, approach notes, and sidestepping sequences. Whether you're an adult learner getting back into playing the horn, a serious high school player preparing for auditions, or a professional looking to refine your core sound, this course gives you the foundation to play musically, confidently, and authentically. So if you're tired of guessing, if you're tired of sounding almost there, click the link and join me inside the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint. Let's make your playing feel as good as it sounds in your head. I'll see you inside the course. All right, let's check out phrase 3B, which is measures 20 through 24. At measure 20, you'll notice a continuation of that motivic idea from the prior bars. Same rhythm, similar shape, but now it's answering the previous phrase. That's our response in the call and response structure. Then, starting in measure 21, we move into a minor 2-5 leading to F sharp major. So G sharp minor 7 flat 5, C sharp 7 to F sharp major 7. This is a big modulation. We're now quite far away from our home key of B flat major. In measure 21, I build the line with half-step motion and those same interval shapes we've been developing, meaning the thirds and the whole steps, so everything still feels connected thematically. This section is also a great example of how to make the bridge sound like a journey without losing the thread of your solo. Now in measure 22, over the C sharp 7, I leave a little space for the first two beats, and that's intentional. Remember, what we don't play is just as important as what we do play. Then when I re-enter on beat 3, I emphasize the flat 9 or the D natural, creating tension that resolves beautifully by half step into the F sharp major 7 on the next measure. That's the power of voice leading. Again, just moving by half steps to guide the ear through complex changes. Let's check out measures 21 through 23 and focus on those half step resolutions. Now let's actually go back to our previous line, and I want to put together all of the little motivic development things that we had from the previous line. Let's check it out. In measure 23 over F sharp major, I jump down a fifth, then ascend through a shape that echoes the intervals from earlier in the bridge. It's all about keeping the vocabulary consistent. Measure 24 gives us a quick tonicization that leads us back into our A section. We do that using that D7, which is the 5 of G minor, and G minor, of course, is the chord that starts the tune. So D7 acts as our pivot chord, clearly signaling that we're returning home. Over the D7, I use the 5th mode of G harmonic minor again. Let's unpack that for a moment. If you think of G harmonic minor, you get the notes G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F sharp. Now, if you apply those notes over D7, they become the 3rd F sharp, the flat 13 is B flat, and the flat 9 is E flat, a perfect dominant color that points directly towards G minor. Let's check out measures 23 and 24. So the bridge not only moves through 2 distant key centers, but also uses consistent motivic material and smart voice leading to tie it all together. All right, at measure 25, we're back into familiar territory, our final A section. Here I bring back several rhythmic and melodic ideas from earlier in the Etude to create unity across the entire chorus. Let's look at the first phrase, measures 25 and 26. You'll immediately hear the digital pattern 1, 2, 3, 5 again, the same one we used earlier in measure 7. That connects this section to the earlier material and reestablishes the tonal center. Then in measure 26, I bring back that short melodic motive of thirds that we heard in measure 10. These little callbacks are what make a solo or composition cohesive and perhaps more lyrical in a way. Let's check out measures 25 and 26. Now at measure 27, we move into a 2-5-1 in B flat major, C minor 7, F7, B flat major. Over F7, I start on the flat 7 and move up through the extensions, the 9, the 11, and the 13, which adds beautiful color. Then I descend stepwise into the B flat major 7 on measure 28, bringing back the same melodic thirds motive that we heard earlier. That kind of repetition creates a sense of closure. We're circling back to the tune's home base. Let's check out measures 25 through 28, and let's focus on that rhythmic consistency. Now, measure 29, I'm emphasizing the interval of a third again. Same shape we've been hearing, and that leads us right into measure 30, where we hit E flat minor major 7. This is a super interesting sound, and it's one that trips up a lot of players. Let's talk about that minor major 7 chord for a second. The minor major 7 chord has a minor triad combined with a major 7. It's the tonic chord of a melodic minor scale, so that's our go-to choice here. You could also use harmonic minor depending on the color you want, but in this phrase, I stick with melodic minor. In measure 30, I emphasize the contrast between the major third we just had on E flat major 7, the G natural, and the minor third on E flat minor major 7, the G flat. That half-step relationship is key. It's both melodic and harmonic movement at once. Then moving into measure 31, we descend again by half-step into D minor 7, landing right on the third or F of the chord. And just like in earlier phrases, I bring back the same rhythmic motive, the short 2/8 note phrasing in thirds that ties everything together rhythmically. In measure 32, we continue that chromatic descent with C sharp diminished 7. Here, I simply arpeggiate the chord up to its root. It's a straightforward but stylistically correct way to outline diminished harmony. Then I resolve the C sharp down a half step to C natural in measure 33, which lands us perfectly into our final 2-5-1 in B flat major, C minor 7, F7, B flat major. Let's check out measures 29 through 33. Over that F7 in measure 34, I use both the sharp 9 and the flat 9 before resolving to B flat major. That's a classic bebop sound, a little tension before the final release. Let's check out the turnaround measures 35 through 36. Now, to wrap up the chorus and to set up that repeat of the form, we add a minor 2-5-1 in G minor. That's A minor 7 flat 5, D7 flat 9 to G minor 7. Over the D7, I once again use the fifth mode of harmonic minor because it's resolving to a minor chord. So from G harmonic minor, we borrow the B flat, which is the flat 13, the E flat, which is the flat 9, and the F sharp, which is the third. Those notes make the D7 sound beautifully altered and perfectly resolves into the G minor at the top of the form. Let's wrap up with a few main points from this lesson. All the Things You Are is a masterclass in modulation. It moves through multiple key centers using 2-5-1 progressions and half-step pivots, making it an essential study tune for learning to navigate harmonic movement. The fifth mode of harmonic minor is one of your best tools for coloring dominant chords, especially when they resolve to minor chords. Voice leading is what makes complex progressions sound natural. Even the most advanced harmonic moves can feel smooth when you guide the ear through half-step connections. Call and response phrasing and motivic development are what transform your solo from a series of licks into a coherent, evolving story. Remember to balance expectation and surprise. Sometimes the most powerful moment in your solo is when you don't play exactly what the listener expects. So slow this etude down, listen deeply, and use it as a framework for developing your own improvisational voice. Finally, practice storytelling in your phrasing. Take one motive, even just the 2/8 note figure from measure 9, and see how many different ways you can develop it over different chords. That's how you turn theory into music. And if you want to study everything I played today in detail, make sure you download the free 2-course Etude PDF in the description below. It's a great way to internalize these concepts and use them in your own solos. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to go further, don't forget to check out the Modern Pentatonics Crash Course and the Jazz Saxophone Blueprint, both packed with workbooks, exercises, and full lessons designed to help you master every aspect of your playing. And of course, come hang out with us in the Next Level Sax community. You'll get access to weekly PDFs, monthly etudes, live masterclasses, and a network of players who are all working towards the same goal, getting better every day. If you found this helpful, hit the like, subscribe, and share it with another sax player who could use a fresh approach to a classic tune. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Keep practicing, keep listening, and as always, keep taking your playing to the next level. Happy practicing.